Привет всем и добро пожаловать.
Whoa, what was that? I feel like I'm watching Tarkovsky's Mirror.
Привет всем и добро пожаловать. That means hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of this Cinema 4cast, or Cinema 4cast, that is known in English. I am your host, Alfredo, or let me say, меня зовут Alfredo, and with me, as always,
It's me, Connor.
it's Connor. Это Connor. Welcome to an episode of Cinema Forecast. This month, we are doing movies out of order. And why all the Russian, you're asking yourself? Well, because we're doing a movie in Russian.
That's right, first foreign language film we've done.
It is indeed.
Yeah, I said on the last episode that we hadn't done foreign films, and you're like, oh, well, besides England. But I just remembered Perfume was a German film, I believe.
It was a German production done in the English language.
That's right.
All about France.
Yes,
How
sir.
interesting.
Oh, and then I guess we had Snowpiercer, South Korean movie, technically. I don't know if that was a production made in the U.S. or not.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Anyway.
regardless, we are talking about Tarkovsky's Mirror today, as we alluded to in our introduction. And holy shit, both of us have never seen this movie.
Yeah.
We usually like to start at the top with talking about our experiences with the film and whatnot. But I mean, again, a whole episode about that. So moving on, let's talk about some themes for movies out of order.
Yeah, I don't think these are the most succinct themes, but I think fitting. Number one, I have perspective changes everything. Number two, the butterfly effect. Three, the significance of details overlooked. Maybe devil in the details, another way to say that. And then finally, fate versus free will. And I think there's a bit of all that in this movie, from what I understood. And I don't know how much I understood. I will say, up top, this is the most unequipped I've felt to analyze a movie, because I feel like I need to watch this movie like multiple times and then like read about it to understand what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I said about with the themes was that when you choose to make a movie out of order, there is like a reason for it, and it's because the like big sort of well, one of the things I said is because the like climax happens like not in like a sequential part of the story where you would expect it.
Yeah.
But for this, it really is such like a dream-like sort of storytelling.
Yeah.
And it is this intermingling of dreamlike things, of memories. It's all this sort of commentary on how we like look back on life. And yeah, I totally agree. I actually legitimately right now I'm sitting here and I'm the most uncertain I have ever been in approaching an episode. I mean, we're gonna talk about what we saw, but yeah, I feel like not only like would I need to watch it multiple times, but like the headspace that I've been in maybe the past couple of days, I haven't been feeling like super good and like feeling like a little bit like down, a little bit like foggy mind-wise. So watching this, I was just like kind of
You
like,
were in the dream state.
I was like letting it wash over me, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But
Yeah.
a lot of really beautiful stuff, a lot of really amazing cinematography. That's one of the things that I had like just kind of being on like film YouTube and perusing different videos and the algorithm feeding me different things. I had seen some stuff about the cinematography of this movie.
Yeah.
And I do really, really love it. I think that's probably one of the things that I feel most equipped to talk about.
I think S tier cinematography.
The movement of the camera and the way that it's used, and we're doing all of these practical things to make you feel like you're in a dream, with characters being in the scene, suddenly like the settings changing.
Yeah.
All that stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
Very, very effective.
Yeah, and there's a couple parts where I'm like, how did they do this? And they must have just waited. I'm thinking of near the beginning where the wind blows over the field and it's this beautiful
They did it with a
shot.
helicopter.
Did they actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes so much sense. I was so like, how the fuck did that?
Yeah, he did it with
that?
a helicopter, yeah.
Damn. I wouldn't expect it to be like so full encompassing of the field like it was for
The
a
helicopter's like literally right behind the camera.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Like, and again, all of this shit is like practical.
Yeah. I really, there's so much in this film I really thought was super cool. But yeah, to be honest, most of it I was just kind of confused and lost, and dare I say bored at times. But super interesting movie to talk about.
Yeah, and it starts like immediately. We have this kid turning on a TV, and then we have like one of these, we have like the sound happening over the transition. I'm not sure if it's exactly like a J cut though, because so many things are, it's difficult to place where certain things come from. And I think there's even like a use of a certain amount of use of ADR that like adds to the whole sort of like not being really sure what's what and where is where, you know? But,
there was a couple times I thought the ADR was a little sloppy, but it also kind of fits like this extremely confusing thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so too. And then we have this like black and white shot of this kid, Yorizari, who appears to have a speech impediment.
Yeah.
And they're doing like a seance on him. And what's wild is like, I remember thinking while I was watching it, I can see like a boom mic shadow.
Yeah.
And apparently that is on purpose because it's supposed to be like a recreation of like a television like broadcast that had happened.
I had that thought at first. I was like, wait, what? Like, because you mentioned at the end of the last episode, like, this is like one of the all-time great Russian directors. And I was like, a boom mic in the opening shot, like, clearly on the wall. And then I was thinking about it a little more. And like, oh, they're like recording this session in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it is cool, like, because it is like feels like hypnotism, and that is essentially what it is. And she's trying to like draw a connection between his speech impediment and the sensation of his hands.
Yeah.
And she wants to like have him release the tension from his speech and his hands.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had the thought of post watching the movie is like, oh, and like reflecting, is this scene is supposed to set you up for like you were being hypnotized into someone else's life almost. Like it felt like this weird sort of like, because one of the moments that like where like things kind of like I didn't feel like I needed a ton of context, like where with everything else it's so like deep within like these people's like day-to-day lives that it's like hard to like, you know. But anyway, it was like, all right, you're about to step into a fucking dream.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been puzzling over what this intro is because I was so sure. I was like, oh, this is going to be like his story.
No, it wasn't. It's like an autobiographical. It's semi-autobiographical about Tarkovsky.
Oh.
The poems that are read throughout are poems of his father that his father wrote. So
beautiful poems.
there is a lot. It is like I saw somewhere that they were referring to it as like poetry in film form, and that is really like such an apt description for it for me, because it is not like what we're used to seeing in film, and especially in this podcast. A lot of stuff that we've done has been pretty straightforward. Haven't really done anything very like art housey or like experimental in any of the things that we've watched. This is definitely the most like avant-garde film we've watched.
Yeah, absolutely. The most like the least narratively driven.
Yes, but at the same time kind of like also like in a less traditional sense, the most like the yes, it is the least narratively driven, but it's also like the most like closest to what it feels like to like actually like when I think about things. Like it's so evocative of being emotional and like searching for and like like nostalgic and searching for like trying to dig into, you know, I don't know, just trying to feel those things again. Like there's a lot of that in this movie.
Would you call this movie like impressionistic? Would this fit that kind of a wave of film?
I think when we think about like traditional impressionism, we're talking about German impressionism of like the 1930s. I think impressionism often like relating to a lot of like this really beautifully done like set design and stuff. I think that this is like the sets are so real, like so raw, and it is just, I think what it is like emotive collage almost. It is like this emotional like montage.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think his goal is not at all to retell the story of his life. His goal is to make you feel what it feels like when you sit on the precipice of death and look back upon your life. I think one of the things that you don't really pick up on, like, well, it's not really like something to pick up on until the very end is that a lot of this is like him reflecting as he's dying. Like,
Yeah.
'cause in the end, he sees the doctor, and the doctor is like,
So I wasn't sure. It was tough because there are a lot of characters at different ages, and they go by a bunch of different names just because that's like a big Slavic language thing. So like I was getting a little confused on who was who.
okay, I got you. So Marusha, that's his mother. That's his mother. And she also plays his wife, his ex-wife, Natalia. And then their son.
Wait, so it's the same
It's
actor
the
playing.
same actor playing both
Oh,
of them.
I thought it was just her.
No.
Okay, that helps
I
a
mean-
lot with my confusion.
I mean, he does say at one point, he says, "Whenever I think of my mother, I think of you. I picture you."
Okay.
And then Ignat is his son, but also plays
Okay.
him as a 12-year-old. Like when you see the shot of like the like red-haired girl, like and her blistered lip and
Okay.
him like looking at her, that's Alexei. And Alexei is the name of the protagonist.
That's very confusing.
And
It's a
I
bold
just-
choice.
I found that part super easy to track, honestly.
I was lost for a lot of it. Well, I was
And-
just lost where we were and who was who and how they all related to each other. And like it's interesting that you're saying it's an autobiographical
Somewhat, yes.
because I felt like Maria was like the main character, but now I realize that it wasn't even the same character.
You mean the mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does feel like it a bit. Another thing is like, Alyosha, which is how the kid introduces himself
Yeah.
when they're in that scene later on with the earrings. That's a diminutive for Alexei. So
Okay.
that's also the same character.
Yeah, because my mom's from Poland, and they all have like different variations of her name, of each other's name. So her name's Mariana, but like all of her close family calls her Marilka. So I was just like, thinking it was just different variations, and instead of thinking these are different characters.
Yeah, I will say I understand why you would be confused, but I think they do a good job of providing like the like Ignat is always in the modern apartment, like back in Moscow. Like whereas
I thought the like the farmhouse had burned down, and then they moved to the city because the doctor comes like earlier and like come to the city with us, like, and then the
that
fire.
weirdo guy who
and
breaks the fucking fence.
I was so sure that was gonna be a bigger plot, but
No, man, he just has a good take on life. He's like looking at he knows that plants are alive, dude.
yeah, it reminded me a lot of Seventh Seal.
Have you ever seen Waking Life?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that reminded
yes.
me of this as well.
Yeah, just like very philosophical. But what you were talking about, just like capturing the essence of like feelings and emotions through just like larger than life abstract things. Like Seven Seals, like one of the top movies that did that for me, where I was just like, I couldn't put my finger on what the emotions like trying to be portrayed in that, but like I felt it. In this movie, I was a bit like too lost with what was happening a lot of the time to really feel the emotions behind it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel also Seven Seal much more straightforward.
Yeah,
like,
very
film.
narratively driven.
Yeah,
like,
very narratively driven. I think that I think I understood a lot of what was happening. Like as like this sort of like onslaught of like different memories. What I had a hard time with, I think also just being in the mindset of like taking notes for my first time watching this movie. I was just like, there was a big part of me where I was like, I just want to stop taking notes
Yeah.
and just like watch.
Me too.
And especially with the like subtitles,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot that I missed.
Me too.
And yeah, I mean, it just again, it just feels super unequipped, like to really have like tackled it fully as it should have been. But yeah, I mean, I think that's also just like down to like the kind of film it is and like what we're used to like doing when we talk about these.
Totally.
But yeah,
Yeah, it made me feel stupid, but I think that's okay. I think that's what he's going for.
I don't think he wants to make you feel stupid. I think he wants to make you feel. I think he wants to make you feel like, I think it's like nostalgia is like
Right.
a big one, like
Yeah.
regret, longing, and I got so much of that with like the imagery.
Yeah.
I think that it's like part of the reasons that this movie is not a linear narrative is because he's kind of like, it's kind of saying, what actually happens doesn't really matter. It's like how it leaves us feeling.
Yeah, I got a lot of themes of like trauma and you know, those little moments in your life that define you, and yeah, the safe place of like childhood is a big theme for sure, and like how that forms you as a person. I got like, yeah, like I said, like a lot of larger kind of big picture stuff, but in terms of like the actual minutia of like all these little details and why things are happening and what the character arcs are, besides the main character dying at the end, or as you said, like, you know, when he's on the hospital bed, like I got that arc, but they say right before it, like, he has, it's a heavy conscience, that's what's killing him or whatever. And
Yeah, and with the like, I do think that it's very interesting how, because I don't think that he's the sole protagonist. I think you're right. I think Marusha is like a big part of the story. Like she feels very central to it. And like for a lot of it, like we don't see his facial expressions. We never see him as a grown man. But her, like the actor, what is her name? Her name is Margarita Terekova.
yeah, she's great.
She's a fucking amazing. Like the amount of like emotion
Yeah.
in her face, and I mean like that's the like iconic scene for me is that scene of her sitting on the fence smoking that cigarette
At the
and-
beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, and it just feels like there's so much that is unfathomable about like, yeah, I don't. It's just like it is this. I think one of the things that I enjoyed about it is like no one can ever truly know what it is like to be you. And I
Yeah.
think that he's accepting that in his telling of this. And that's why there's a certain level of like unfathomable to the whole story, right? Like
Yeah.
she has this like sadness in her that I'm like, I can't even begin to like understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well put, cuz that's part of me that was partially frustrating for me because she was crying like nonstop throughout the movie, and like they give you a little bit on why
I don't know about nonstop.
like every other scene she starts
I
crying a lot. She's crying a lot. And I was confused, and I was like, okay, this is all going to tie together in the end, and I'm going to understand like what all these pieces were, and it doesn't.
That's the thing about life. It doesn't have a neat little bow on it. It's not a movie, you know?
Yeah, yeah, but I think the movie's failing for me if it's trying to kind of like connect me with this character, and I don't understand why she's so upset.
Well, I think what has happened is her husband left to go fight in the war.
Yeah.
And then what's unclear is, does he die or does he come back and then he doesn't want to be with her anymore? Because
Yeah.
when later on, when Alexei says to Natalia that she reminds him of his mother, she's like, well, that makes sense why we're divorced.
Yeah, I think he left her because Liza also says, I'm surprised he didn't leave you sooner at that one part.
Yeah. So that was the thought. And then I think
But
there's
wait.
a lot of implications of like the things she has to do to survive as a mother and take care of her children.
Yeah, I'm just getting confused now between the characters because the woman sitting on the fence at the beginning and the
That's
woman
Marusha.
and the woman at the printing press are two different people.
Those are the same people.
Okay. Gotcha. It's just the apartment, like that really run down apartment is like,
Really run down. It looks like a nice apartment.
I don't know. The walls looked weird to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, yeah, sure. I feel like it looked nice for what was probably around at the time. I mean, like I said, it's Marusha is usually the one in the old country home. She's the one who worked at the printing press.
Okay.
She's the one who worked with Lisa, and that's like and then the wife Natalia is the ex-wife Natalia is the one in those scenes where they're talking about Ignat, and you have this like male character who's talking, but you never see his face.
Yeah. Do you think he's going for kind of a Freud thing with like having the actor be the mother and the wife, like you marry your mother kind of thing?
Perhaps. I didn't feel like that was the over like it didn't feel like the overarching like sort of
Message.
yeah. I think it's a like more so like this weird sort of like dream, like maybe more Jungian, like archetypal like things
Feminine
arising from the
role.
collective unconscious, you know, the figures that they represent in his life as like, yeah, But no, I didn't feel too Freudy. More Jung.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, we have the scene on the fence. I mean, beautiful shot, like you were saying, just that slow pushing on her sitting there, and then him walking up, and yeah, it's a fun conversation, and I was like very curious where this was all going, and yeah, then he leaves. He walks away. He had to turn right at the bush, and he went left.
Yeah, he went the wrong way at the bush because it's like either you come to their house or you go to like the rest of where everything is in this town or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has that whole thing about how plants can feel. Then we have the sick thing with the wind. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's such an amazing shot.
Oh yeah, one of these
my mind.
first sort of scenes of like the poetry being read over like what you're not sure is montage or like one space, one time, moving through the sort of like memories of childhood with the kids at the table and the kitten drinking the milk. I thought it was sugar. You said it was salt for the kid.
Oh, that makes more sense.
The
Probably that was sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he also had a line, the doctor, we don't trust the nature within oneself. I thought that was evocative, just like talking about how we can't let ourselves be happy kind of thing, I think is what he's saying there. Like there's so much good writing and so much like beautiful poetry. The music's amazing. A lot of it's like composers and from the past, not before the movie. But yeah, like so many elements that really worked for me, but like overall it was just like kind of a jumbled mess for me.
Yeah, again, I think it's because I think that the intention again isn't to make like it again, it is this sort of like collage of emotion sort of thing. It's like if you were looking at it as like a movie, then it's like then you're just not, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's a big part of it. I think a big part of me feeling unequipped is that I just don't have, like, I haven't seen a bunch of movies like this. So, like, I don't have that kind of, it's like hearing a genre of music for the first time, and it's like, this is weird. And then, like, you keep listening to it, you're like, oh, okay, like, I'm getting it now.
Yeah, so I think it's just, like, not, it's really outside of, like, that sort of, like, typical realm.
Right. I think, and so, I think she's crying here. And this time, like, this first time she's crying, I get it, because, like, she's waiting for her husband to come home, but it's her ex-husband. She's not wearing the ring, it was pointed out, so they're already broken up at
But
this
he
point.
also says that.
Oh, no, she says she's waiting for her father. Which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember the specifics of it, but, like, he does say the thing about, like, that a lot of people don't wear their rings anymore because it's old-fashioned, which makes sense. You think about, like, this is, like, during a time where things are changing in Russia and like new norms are kind of coming up. So,
and the eras, I believe, like 1935 to like 1975. Is that about like where we're jumping between?
I think so. The era when he's we have him as a very young child, which is about, I think, around 1935. We have him as like a 12-year-old in, I think, 1942. Where he's like training like with like the military instructor.
Yeah.
And then we have him as like a 40-something-year-old towards the end of his life, which would probably end up being roughly like late 60s, maybe early 70s.
Yeah, checks out. And then there's a fire.
Yeah, I love the way the mom is like, hey, all right.
Don't scream.
Yeah, chill out, kids, but there's a fire. They're like, sick, let's go check out the fire.
Yeah, and there's a super cool shot here. I mean, there's so many mirrors in this movie. It's like, do you remember what this movie is? It's Mirror. But the super cool shot with the mirror here, where I think it's showing the shot of the kids in the mirror, and then it like flips around, and we're at like a different location.
Yeah,
super cool.
This is very cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and then just like an awesome shot of her sitting on the well as the building burns. Like composition wise, just like it looks so good. This is the type of thing where I'm like almost embarrassed. I don't know how the fire started. I don't get what happened. Are we supposed to?
Okay, I feel like that you have to think about this. Stop thinking about this. Like, let's track Straight. This is like you're a little like you're talking to your mom about something. You remember when there was that one fire? Like it's like that. That's what it's like.
And they do have that phone call coming up soon, which is like that, right?
Yeah, it's like it's literally just like he's jumping around.
So it doesn't. The details don't matter, is what you're saying.
Some of them do more than others, for sure. But for that one, I think it's just like something very memorable of like this neighbor's. It seems like it's their neighbor's like barn is burning down.
Yeah, and later she says Lisa died in the fire, or she said she died that day. So I assume that meant she died in the fire.
No. Lisa is the lady she knows from the printing house.
Yeah.
And the author, the protagonist, Alexei's like 40s. He's talking to his mom, and his mom is like, she died like yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And that's where she's like, she died at 7 in the morning. And he's like, what time is it now? And she goes 6, and he goes, in the morning? And she goes, no, what's wrong with you? At night.
Yeah, which is interesting.
It is just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
Wild, for sure. The kid, again, I don't know who all these kids are, so I'm going to struggle, but a kid wakes up.
That's him. That's Alexei.
Okay, that's Alexei. And then right after this, we get this super amazing sequence of her...
There's like the whistling sound, and he like gets out of bed,
and she's like pulling her hair out of the water.
I think it's his father is like pouring water over her head to like help her, like almost like you'd help someone like wash their hair. And then like she slowly pulls her hair up out of the water.
And then it's like her in a room on fire with water.
It's raining in the house.
It's raining in the house, but there's also like fire around. There's like a mirror that's showing fire and water dripping out. And like in this scene, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a sweet movie. I'm so into this. And then I don't know if it ever quite reached those highs for me.
She's a reflection of herself as an old woman.
Yeah. And so that is her at the end walking away with the kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's her at the end walking away with the kids.
Because there's another scene with her and her younger self, but now I realize, oh, that wasn't her younger self. That was Natalia. Yes. Okay. Coming together.
Yeah. She also like we get that random shot of like the burning stick and like the person holding it to like get warm. And then it'll come back later.
Right.
And we'll get a little bit more context for it.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I thought the fire might have been important is that they set up Ignat likes to burn things down. Or he likes to start fire. He started a fire in the courtyard outside their house, but now I realize that's like in the future. So it's not even the same not even the same kid, not related.
But I mean, come on, kids love fires.
Yeah, sure. I was just like looking for hints. But
we do have a really cool line in the next scene where the phone rings and we have Alexei speaking to his mother, and he says the words are flaccid. And I think that's also kind of a little bit of a thesis for this film, which is like...
I remember him saying the words are feeble, which is interesting.
Yeah, wait, where did you watch it?
I watched it on Amazon.
On Amazon? They have it on Amazon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Where'd you watch it?
It's free on YouTube.
Ah, fucked up. Interesting though. We probably had slightly different translations.
Yeah, but he basically says that words can't live up to the things that you feel. And I feel like it's kind of like a thesis for like this sort of like, even though it's impossible to ever fully express yourself, like it's still a good exercise to try to. And this movie is definitely like that. It's like, dude, I'm never going to be able to know what it feels like to be you, bro, but like I feel like I got a little bit of a peek, got a little bit of an idea.
Yeah.
I also feel like there's a lot of cultural things that like I feel like I might be missing out on.
Yeah,
absolutely. That I want more, that I want to know more about. Like you said, I would love to fucking like read several, like watch this, read several articles, and like really just. I mean, I feel like you could spend like a year of your life like writing.
You could
like,
have your college thesis.
You could write an entire book about this.
Yeah.
Like it's just a wild experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. On the phone call, he says father left in 1935.
Yeah. And that's the same year that there was the fire.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that Lisa died, the one that she worked at in the printing house. And the camera moves through this empty house during the conversation. Looks fucking awesome. And I love how he's like, why are we always bickering all the time?
Yeah.
And then the line goes dead.
Yeah,
It's fucking sick.
He says like something along the lines of like, whatever my fault is in that, I hope you forgive me. So like they're kind of setting up here that
Yeah, he's basically like, whatever I did like to upset you or whatever, like I'm sorry, like it wasn't my intention.
yeah, which is setting up his kind of arc of redemption. Although I'm not sure what he needs redemption from besides killing that bird. Maybe just being in the war, the trauma of like the horrible things he had to do in war and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's also maybe a part of it where like it feels like there's something that happened between him and his mother that like he was never fully able to like forgive himself for. But it is super unclear what exactly happened. But yeah, I mean like again, I was saying earlier like there's this feeling of like her needing to do like, you know, selling the earrings, and like there's the moment where she's going to kill the rooster and she's like, oh, you're also pregnant? And you're like, wait, what's going on? Like, is she like seeing like another man? And I was like, what is she doing to sort of provide for her children when she like, there's a lot like implied in that, like that she really made a lot of sacrifices for them. And perhaps he was unappreciative, he feels like. I mean, I remember when people like get close to death too, they get very like, I mean, my great grandmother, I remember she was like, am I going to be able to get into heaven? Like with like the things I've done, people would be like, what did you do? And like, you know, she wouldn't like really say anything. So there's, I think like this, like coming to terms with who you've been, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not really
preparing
sure.
to meet your maker, basically, right? Like, when you start to consider, when you're nearing the end of your life, you know, you start considering what comes after more. So like,
Yeah, and I guess in the next scene, perhaps we see that his mother held herself to a very high sort of like standard, and seemed to be very like, wanting to have this sense of like control over things, like especially in her work with like the printing house. So perhaps he felt like he never really lived up to her standard in that sense. I'm not sure. Like that seems like a very sort of like typical like, I'm not good enough for my parents, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Such a tragic dude. Poor guy.
Yeah. And then it's black and white. Is it always black and white when is it Moscow? Are they in Moscow?
No, it's not always black and white. And no, it's kind of random when what is and what. But this is in like the 1930s or whatever. And I'm not sure if she's actually in Moscow, or I think this might be the printing house she works in. I'm not sure.
In
I'm
the
not
town
sure. Yeah,
that the
in
doctor
the town
went
or
to?
something. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Well, anyways, she's like running through the rain. Again, beautiful shot. I like that they have her breath is like just the only audio, basically. Like it's
that
all the
her,
way
like,
up front.
clacking shoes the whole time, dude.
Very interesting. Like, yeah, like evocative, but like I'm not sure of what exactly. You know, so much of the stuff in this movie.
I think it's just the singular focus with the like the way that it's mixed for the sound of her just like so like set on this course of like, I fucked up and I need to make sure that this doesn't go to print with like an error that I thought that I made.
Okay, this is the second thing I'm embarrassed that I don't understand. What was that? What did she misprint?
Okay, she works at the printing house.
Yeah.
What did she misprint? I don't know. So she thought she was gonna fuck something up.
So weird. Well, because they set it up so much where like
she run. What do you mean? How do you mean they set it up? Oh,
because like she's talking with Liza and she's like, oh well, what is it? And she like whispers in her ear and she like smiles and she's like, oh, that's what it was. Oh, and then it's like never mentioned again. And I'm like, that didn't mean anything. You weren't setting anything up there, because she's so upset about it too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is she so upset about? I'm sure that'll be revealed. I have no fucking idea.
No, I don't think they reveal what she had thought that she had written instead of what was actually supposed to be written. But in my head, I was like, oh, she probably thought that she did something naughty, and that's funny to me.
But they spend so long on this scene.
But it's not so much. It's not about what. It's about how, right? It's not about like it's revealing so much about her character, right? And like then we see sort of like that the questioning of like, why is she really doing this? Is it to like she looking for attention, like, or do you want to draw attention to the fact that you never make mistakes? Like, is like sort of like what she's like challenged with. And I think we're being told about the mother that she is perhaps like a sort of like perfectionist, but like a solitary sort of like perfectionist. And again, I think the thing about like everything in your life is so out of your control with like what's going on with like your family and your husband, and like work feels like something where you can be like where you can assert yourself as like, you know, being sure of certain things.
Interesting. Yeah, because there felt like the part of the reason I was also like, oh, this will be tied into everything else was like Liza's reaction to her after this, where she just starts like laying into her.
Yeah, like berating her.
Yeah, I was so confused, and then I was like, okay, well, we're gonna figure this out. The movie out of order, I'm sure. And then just like no, and it's like, what are you upset about? And then the way she lays into her, she's like, I'm surprised your husband didn't leave you sooner. And then like reasonably she like runs out of the room upset, and then she like chases after her like, well, what did I say? And I'm like, what is this?
And then she like clicks her heels down the hallway.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a fucking weird movie.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And what's also confusing about it, I think, and because I wasn't able to, I wish I really like want to be able to like pay super close attention. And again, I feel like taking notes at certain points, I was just like, no, man, I'm not giving this everything I could. And one of the big things I felt like was during that scene, she's talking about another woman and saying how that woman is like her. And then she's doing this thing, I think, to sort of like avoid directly being shitty, where she's like, we're kind of obfuscating. She's talking about the lady or she's talking about her. And like, I mean, even she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's wrong with you? What are you talking about? What are you trying to say? And so that made me feel like, okay, there's a certain level of this that is like sort of like not like
her being
occluded. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's basically like laying into her, criticizing it, but still very, very strange, very indirect.
Yeah, she has a quote from Nietzsche, something about like, give me my slippers, give me my something else, give me my water, or something like that. Just kind of saying like you're just someone who always asks but never like gives. Like really big criticisms, like really like core, like you are a shit person.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, like in the context of the movie, you are just kind of like a lot of the shots of her, just like these shots of her, just like looks like she feels sorry for herself, you know?
Yeah, and I thought that was one of the themes, just like kind of dwelling in this misery when she doesn't need to, especially like with the doctor at the beginning, right? Who's kind of this like happy-go-lucky, just like blowing with the wind, almost literally, right? Like
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was one of the major themes I got for sure. I just like, I don't know, wish I wasn't so confused. I like the poem and the like the beautiful shot of her like walking down this super long hallway. Looks cool. Then we have her again crying at her desk, and then
this is where Lisa comes up and like she's smoking a cigarette and she's like, and she starts talking about the other lady.
Oh yeah. This is where she says, "Bring me water, get me shoes." Yeah, I did write it down. That's the Dostoevsky line. Yeah, and then she takes a shower, but the water stops flowing, and it's like a relatable moment of like, man, already having a shit day. Of course, this thing's not gonna fucking work too.
I do love how they have showers at her work. That's awesome.
Yeah, for a printing press, that's very interesting.
A printing house.
Yeah.
I do like the like scene of where we get to like go through because they end up going to the typesetting room and like all like the old equipment there that looked fucking sick as fuck.
Yeah, some interesting like, I'm pretty sure there was some very light slow motion stuff happening while they were walking too, which was visually interesting. Maybe again kind of like distorting time and stuff all fits into this kind of memory thing.
We get a fire in the distance, and then this is the first time where we hear Alexei say that his ex-wife looks just like his mom, and when he thinks of his childhood, he pictures his mother with her face.
Yeah, and
he pities them both.
Right, and the whole scene is just this is Natalia now, right?
Yeah.
Natalia is just looking in the mirror, and then like once she's done looking in the mirror, she walks over to the window, and it's all reflections, only her. Yeah, we don't see who she's talking to.
Yeah, and she's telling Alexei that he only knows how to demand, and he says it's because he was raised by women. and then what he says is that if she doesn't want Ignat to be like that, she should get remarried as soon as possible.
Mm.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? This
Yeah.
is what a wild guy. And yeah, we never see Alexei at all as like an adult in this movie.
Yeah, very interesting. I was
perhaps
confused by that, but now that I understand the context more of how it's all kind of his memories and stuff, that
I think
makes
it's
sense.
a framing device to have like the audience step into his like POV a lot.
Yeah.
And that makes me actually think that some of like the memories of the mother are like they're not actual, like they're like what he pictures having happened to his mother,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of surreal moments where I felt that for sure. Like, I remember there's a moment where he, as a child, opens the door, and she's, like, sitting right in front of the door, peeling potatoes next
And
to
the dog pops out, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's very, like, surreal, dreamlike, for sure.
But I also felt like it could have been a real scene.
Yeah.
Real thing that happened.
Yeah, sometimes you shave your potatoes by the door.
Well, I mean, you know, it's an old house and stuff, you know?
Yeah. No, speaking of, my mom, like I mentioned, is from Poland, like way out in the fucking boonies in Poland, and I saw like the old house she lived in, and it like reminded me so much of it in this movie. Just like, yeah, just rough life, rough life out there, man.
Yeah, I went to Russia when I was 17, and I stayed in. My friend's parents had a friend who had a dacha, which is like a summer home in the country. Because these people had a lot of money, and it was in this place called Abramsva, and it was like an hour and a half train ride out of Moscow, and the fucking whole ride there was like so beautiful. And I think one of the things that I loved about this movie is all those like shots of the like Russian countryside. I think like just like not something I like thought of, you know, or like was like, oh yeah, whenever like I think so many people think of Russia and they're like, oh, snow, blah blah, and I went there and I was like, this place is so fucking beautiful.
I mean, it's huge, so it's like
Yeah.
I got to imagine so much diversity in Russia. I don't really know what the.
But I think what this movie does really well is that just highlighting that beauty of that Russian countryside. I loved all the shots of like the country house, all of like the greenery, the like big flowing like fields, and apparently
Yeah.
they're all super. A lot of them are super inspired by certain paintings as well.
Interesting. Cool. Then I think we get we're in the apartment now, and they're hanging out with those Spanish
Yeah, I think
dudes.
this is all the same scene. And like the ex-wife is telling Alexei to take Ignat for a week while they redecorate, and we hear this Spanish guy talking, and he's talking, and we see some old bullfighting footage, and the guy is talking about how the bullfighter defeats the bull, and specifically this bullfighter Palomo Linares.
Yeah. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about all the old footage. I find some of it very like tasteful and interesting, but then sometimes it just felt like I was just like watching like a historical footage compilation, and I was like, why are we doing this for like 10 minutes? There was one like specifically like really long sequence of just military stuff where they're just like walking through the water, and then like more shots of them walking around and stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what is this?
I think it's like this sort of like. I think the desire is to represent how big the war like looms over his existence.
Yeah.
And how so many events that he was so divorced from had such like an impact on what it felt like to live in that country at that time.
Yeah, because his parents died was it both of them, or was it just his father died in Leningrad? I think they say both.
No,
of his
that's
parents.
a different kid.
Oh shit.
The kid who throws the dummy grenade is a different kid.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that kid's parents both died. Yeah, but no, his dad just went off to like war, and then we see him come back eventually in that one scene.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's also this lady named Luisa who's like Spanish. They ask her if she would ever go back to Spain. She's like, no, my children are Russian. My husband is Russian. And what I took this to be is like there were, I assume these were people like, because they're also talking about people, the guy's talking about when he left his town.
Yeah.
Now he remembered leaving his town, and everyone was there to say goodbye, and his father saw him, and they both knew it was the last time they were going to see each other.
Right.
And I assume these were probably like members of the the communist or Republican parties in Spain during the like Civil War who like left to go to Russia after Franco was installed into power. And so,
or maybe just fled during the Civil War.
I feel it's like some sort of, it seems like there's some sort of like tribute there to that. Like Very, very interesting though to include this. I was very like much like, I think what the dude says I love a lot, but like all of the extra other stuff, and then we're getting footage of the Spanish Civil War
Yeah.
and people leaving wearing all these like name tags, and it seems like families are kind of like being like torn apart.
You get a woman carrying a broken mirror.
Yeah,
Very
there you go.
important.
Very important. There's the mirror. Yeah.
And I liked interesting perspective for you as a Spanish speaker. I liked that there were no subtitles, at least in the Amazon version, when they were speaking Spanish.
No, and also in the on YouTube.
Because
as well.
again, through his point of view, which I didn't understand that this was all supposed to be his point of view until you said that. So like a lot more things are clicking together for me because I was like, that's interesting to leave out, but like The Godfather did it, and I liked it there. So
yeah. So the part that you really need to like know is where it's explained to you by the guy who's like translating.
yeah. And then there's this like moment of the Spanish guy's daughter like dancing, and it's like nice happy moment, and then he comes over and fucking slaps her.
I don't think that's his daughter. I think that's like
Oh.
somebody else's kid. And
he
I think
slaps her.
well, I think he's like I think the thing is that she is like imitating like what she thinks is like a traditional style of Spanish
Oh.
dance,
And he's offended.
and he's like offended. I
okay.
think.
Okay,
or,
I didn't catch that because he says something about like would we pay for all these dancing lessons or something like that. There's something about dancing lessons.
Oh. Yeah, I the line I don't really remember what he said, but it was something about like you think like you can. I can't remember exactly, but what it pointed to was what I just said, the feeling that like he was somehow like offended or like felt like she wasn't worthy of trying to do this thing. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. We also get like during this old footage sequence a bunch of people like floating from these massive balloons, which I thought was really cool looking. I'm wondering now that we're putting some more stuff into context if that's kind of saying like look at all this war, look at what people really want to do. They want to like fly, they want to be free. And like birds is a
there's
theme,
like a big balloon and like parachutes, and there's like this big thing that says like CCCP on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a quick shot of a parade.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
This is mine, dude. It's him remembering shit, dude.
I guess so.
It's like, dude.
But he wasn't in Spain. So it's just like you were saying, no, like
But okay, just the footage of the people with the name tags and shit. But then all the balloons is in Russia.
oh
and
right, because it has USSR on one of the balloons.
It says CCCP, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a quick shot of a parade, which I assume is also like somewhere in Russia.
And then I think we cut to her reading a book about like famous artists or something.
It's Ignat who's flipping through the book,
Ignat.
I think.
Yeah, and because looking at Leonardo da Vinci, who comes up a couple times, and is it just kind of reflecting on like his interest in art from a young age? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a cool shot of like just like a bunch of hands in the dark.
Yeah.
That kind of called to like the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
there's an old leaf in the book too,
yeah,
as he's flipping
through it. A lot of cool
it.
stuff. There's also like the like pieces of like what look like sort of like tracing paper.
Yeah.
Like, that someone has set down to like maybe try and trace some of these.
Oh, I was wondering about that. I thought that might have been like sleeves to try to protect the pages, but that makes sense too.
Yeah, I was thinking it was maybe someone was like practicing tracing.
That makes sense.
And then the mom drops her purse. This is Natalia who drops her purse, and she's like telling him not to collect the coins nicely, just to give them to her. And then he talks about how he feels a shock, and he describes the feeling of deja vu.
Yeah.
But what's very interesting in this is that she starts off by saying always in a rush. And I did feel like a big part of this movie is like you're always in such a rush to get the thing done that you don't actually enjoy like the moment
doing it. Yeah.
And then these memories feel maybe sometimes kind of empty because you didn't give the moment the attention it deserved. And now it's like never really, not only did you not do it when it happened, because you didn't do it, you'll never have the joy of knowing that you did it, like having, I don't know. That's what I was getting from it. This feeling of like really depressing nostalgia.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly depressing nostalgia.
Yeah. And then there's this,
this is sick as fuck.
This like, it's very creepy. It was giving me like It vibes almost, where it's suddenly like he turns around.
Well, he closes the door to his mom, and his mom is like, "Let the lady in when she gets here." Or whatever.
Yeah, and then it just cuts to it.
And then the camera moves.
Yeah.
And we had seen that the chair was empty, but now the lady's sitting in the chair.
Yeah, cool.
And she asks like, "Hey, can you get him like something to drink as well?"
Cup of tea.
And then she asks him to read from a very specific book and
Mm-hmm.
a very specific part that's underlined. And it's talking about the history of Russia. And
Yeah.
there's a really cool part about how they were Christian, but were alien to the Christian world.
Yeah.
And this is some of the cool, like, specific, like, Russian cultural things that I think are very interesting that's explored in this movie that I don't have enough context
Yeah.
about. And it's from a letter that was written by Pushkin to Chadiev.
Yeah, in 1836. which
Yeah,
is
very cool, very interesting.
Yeah, I wrote down the church thing was the big, because they're talking about a lot of stuff here, but the church thing stood out to me too. I wrote the division of churches has separated us.
I think the idea is that, like, setting up how Russia sits in Europe, like how they sit within, like, everybody else, like, culturally, right?
Yeah.
And how they are very sort of alien, a very different sort of people to the rest of, like, Europe, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool sort of sentiment to touch on in this kind of movie, because there's this, like, very alienating feeling of existence throughout it, right? Where the characters feel so, like, they can never really connect. They can never really get through to each other because all they're ever really seeing is the reflection that the other wants to put out, you know?
Yeah.
Very, like, there's some very cool, like, Slavic shit in this, like cultural stuff. Think about, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, love to read a book about this.
Yeah. Did you learn about it in school at all?
This movie?
Yeah, to like this come up as an example and stuff.
We talked about this movie for not really very much. I think maybe mentioned once or twice. Like
Probably
I said,
for composition.
no,
Mm.
no, just part of the history of cinema and talking about Tarkovsky and his influence on, like, Russian cinema. And I knew that it was a very, like, sort of, like, avant-garde piece as well. But no, I mean there's so many other things to, like, talk about.
Totally. And
When we talk about
probably, I don't know how many, we might have not even mentioned this like since episode 1, but like you have a master's in film, which we should probably reiterate every once in a while.
that's okay. That's not necessary.
Well, I know, but it gives interesting perspective.
It's whatever. When we talked about surrealism, we talked about, like, Dali and, like, Buñuel and, like, like the Spanish, like, Spanish and French sort of, like, artists of, like, the 1930s and, like, their involvement with, like, film. Not so much about Tarkovsky, but
Mm.
I mean, we did talk about Russian film as well. We talked about some female, like, Soviet era, like, filmmakers as well. But yeah, I don't have a lot of background on this. It's a very wild movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's this one shot here I really love because she disappears again, right? The lady
Yes.
in the chair, and then it's just like showing the condensation clear from where the cup was. Like something so evocative about that, especially
Yeah.
when you're talking about memories and stuff.
And
like,
life, and how
yeah,
life,
just
like,
fades. Yeah.
existence just fades away. And honestly, it's like your understanding for this movie as you're watching it. You're like, whoa, and it just evaporates away. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
I definitely felt like I overslept a lot today, and I have been a lot lately, and I've been getting lost a lot in, like, my dreams. And this movie, I think part of the reason why I was like, ugh, this is, like, too much for me right now is because it was like,
Too real.
yeah, this feeling of, like, I just, like, what do I even need reality for when I could just get lost in these, like, beautiful, like, sort of, like, settings. Not even that, some of them aren't even that beautiful, but just, like, get lost in these stories in my head,
Yeah.
you know, and that kind of feels like what's going on to, like, this character. He's just, like, getting so lost in his memories, he can't even really remember what's going on in his day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think we get a phone call with
Yep.
with Ignat's father. And yeah, he was in love with a red-haired
Yeah,
lady.
he tells him to invite a girl over, yeah.
And
Her lips were always blistered.
yeah, always chapped. Yeah, I thought that again. Yeah, I think I just have to like totally change my way of looking at the movie because I was like, okay, so how's that gonna tie into things? And it's like, no, it's just memory of a girl he had a crush on.
Yeah. And there's some cool shots of her too. I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of the shots of her are very cool because they're very, like, bright, where so much
Mhm.
of the movie is, like, so dark.
Right.
That's another thing that I kind of was having a hard time with in this film, is that the version that I saw, I just want to get, like, either a physical copy of it or, like, watch it in a theater, because, like, it was just like the like the like darkness and the blacks were just like looked so like digital, and I was like a little frustrated by that, but because
Interesting.
there was so much beauty in so much of the scenes, and I was just like, oh man, this like tiny little thing is fucking bugging me.
Interesting. Didn't notice, but
Well, maybe the Amazon version is better. Maybe I should
well, yeah, they
watch it on Amazon.
they did say it was remastered.
But it said at the beginning of the one I watched too.
So probably the same. Probably the same. And then I think we get the kind of like military child training. This is a military school, I presume.
Yeah. See, one of the things that the movie did do that I did appreciate is like usually when they're talking about something, the next scene will be somewhat related to it. So he's talking about how during his time at like with like he was doing military training, he had a crush on this girl, and then it cuts to him in military training.
Yeah. Shooting rifle in the snow.
Yeah, and it's like the first shot is of the girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see the boy. You see Ignat, the actor who plays Ignat, playing Alexei as a 12-year-old, staring at her.
Right.
And then back to doing target practice. And there's this kid who like is very like he's a bit of like a pedant. Like he really wants to like take things like literally, and the guy's like about face. And he's like, well, in Russian, about face means 360 degrees. I did what you told me to do. And he's like, fuck that, dude. About face. And then he does it again. And I think the lesson there is like military training doesn't care about like what I say.
Follow orders.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what I want you to do, so fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's this interesting scene where he throws like a dummy grenade.
Yeah. There's also like the military instructors like fucking boots crunching on the snow is so loud, like crunch,
Yeah, a lot of
crunch.
yeah, it's a good point. There's a lot
Kinda
of sound design around
Sound
stuff
like
like
someone
that.
like biting into like a big head of lettuce.
Mm-hmm. And this was strange, but I think I'm like piecing it together as this whole conversation is helping me appreciate this movie more.
Yeah, this episode is not. This is a departure from what we usually do. This is not really like film analysis. This is more like film post-mortem. Like
Yeah.
let's all kind of sit around a table and see if we can figure out what we just watched.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, he throws the grenade, and then they kind of like drill sergeant or whoever this guy is. He jumps on the grenade, and I love that he grabs the pin. Like, you know, that's some, and the way he rolls onto it, like that's some crazy cool military tactic stuff I like. And then there's this weird pulsing like heartbeat on his head. Did you see this? Oh, yeah, no, like when he's just laying there on the ground holding the grenade, there's like a prosthetic like thing like pulsing on his head, and I was like, what the fuck? But now I think it's like representation of his trauma and how like his trauma was brought back by throwing that grenade, and like he might have a wound on his head or something, or I don't know, because I think you do see him without the hat off again, and he does have a wound on his head, but it's not like pulsing. So I think it was like showing you that trauma in that moment. How that ties into the larger story. Yeah.
It is wild. I love that the instructor does immediately throw himself onto the grenade. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and yeah, just like I said, the way he catches it, it's like behind his back, I think, where he grabs it. Like, yeah, it's cool.
And the kid just like then they like cut to the girl again. She's got like a big old like bleeding blister on her lip.
Yeah.
And then we got the black and white footage of like some soldiers carrying some stuff. One of them is like full on naked trying to carry some stuff, and a car falling into the water.
I think this is the really long one.
No, then it's the kid walks away. Then this is a very long footage of the soldiers crossing water.
Yeah.
But they've added the splashing of water and like the sploshing of walking on mud, and it sounds so gross. And it does go on for a long time. And I was like, this sound over and over again in my headphones is so fucking gross. But one of my favorite poetry parts, because it's the poem about
immortality.
Yes, which I think is called Life. Again, I think I mentioned it, but these poems were written by Arseny Tarkovsky, who is Andrei Tarkovsky's father.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, the only line I wrote down is "My immortality is all I need." And yeah, just like talking about legacy, talking about how like not being afraid of death and all that.
Over the footage of the war stuff, it did feel very sort of like, you know, like die for your country, like, and you will live forever. Like if you can, there's a part of that I kind of like felt, but at the same time within the context of the movie and everything else, it was kind of just like maybe a commentary on leaving your mark, you know, on having lived life and affected those things around you, you know?
Yeah. I did write next to my notes here bored and underlined it. So that, I guess that gives you a feeling of where I was at this part. I do like this moment where he's walking up the hill. He's crying. Everyone's crying. It's very sad. And the bird lands on his head, and he just fucking crushes it in his hand. And I was like, what the fuck? But I love how that ties in later. That was probably like how it ties in is probably like the most like resonant moment for me in the movie.
Yeah, at the very end when he lets it go. But that's a different boy. That's not even him.
Oh, god damn it. Never mind.
It's the kid who threw the grenade.
Right.
Yeah. Who does it, but not him.
Oh, well, dang it. Because that was one of my favorite moments because I thought that was him as a kid. And it was him, like the bird is dead next to him at first. Not to jump ahead. And I thought it was like, in the right before that, they're saying he's like dying of a guilty conscience. So I thought it was like, you know, the things that he did throughout his life, like crushing the bird, and then he lets it go and it's free. And
yeah, no, it's a different kid.
yeah, fuck this movie.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Yeah, we got a Mao Revolution footage here.
Yes.
Which I think is just like a big part of, yeah, like you're saying, like the cultural influence of like the Communist Party in Russia and how that's affecting the whole world at this point and all that interesting stuff.
We do see like Chinese people being held back by Russian troops as well at a certain point.
Right. And then
we have Marusha getting some wood ready for a fire, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we get the soldier walking in and saying, "Where are the children?"
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to the two children, and we have Marina telling her brother, who in this is, I believe, Alexei, telling that she's going to tell them that he took the book or whatever. And it's that same book, I think, with like Leonardo da Vinci in it.
Yeah.
And then a man calls out, and they run into his arms, and this is who I assume is Alexei's father, come back from the war or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and there's very ominous music playing during this scene, which had me a little confused.
I think it's because he's gonna like leave his wife after this.
I see. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking now. Would it make more sense? Would I be much less confused if all these memories were through his perspective instead of like so much of it being through Maria's perspective or other characters' perspectives?
Marusha.
I think they call her Maria at one part. Like I think Marusha is like a Maria, like a Russian like twist on that. Like Mariana, like I was saying earlier. Because I think in another part they call her Masha as well.
Yeah, but Asha is a diminutive in Russian, so that makes sense.
Interesting.
I am looking at the credits right now. That's what her name is in the credits.
Yeah, like I know they call her that, but I thought they called her Maria at one point too, but I could be mistaken. That's what I wrote every time.
Yeah, I don't think that's her name. Because I think in Russian, Maria is Maria.
Fair enough. Because like Marilka is just like kind of a cute way to say Mariana, so I was thinking that might be like a cute way to say Maria.
Is it the diminutive of?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, Masha is the diminutive in this case.
Got it.
Then we have a black and white shot of Natalia, and Alexei's asking her to let Ignat live with him. And then they bring Ignat out, and he asks him, and he's like, "No, I don't want to live with you." So weird.
Yeah.
And but what I kind of liked about it is that like Natalia is like, man, and like she says something about like with you, like nobody can like say anything or something like that. And then there was this thing where I was like, does he like losing his grip on reality to the point where like because he's like, he said that he wanted to live with me, right? And he's like, she's like, and I think the implication is sort of like, I think you're just like making up whatever you want to believe is true. Like you want to believe you're a good dad and your son wants to live with you, but that's not exactly the case.
He's never, I don't know if he's ever like a dick directly to his son, but he talks shit about him like every time he's talking about him, basically. Like not like our doll son or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that happens pretty much like in the next scene because Natalia's flipping through some pictures of Alexei's mother, and she's
crying. So in part of the reason I thought Masha was crying the whole movie is because it's both of them are crying a lot.
Yeah, maybe she's crying. I didn't remember her specifically crying at this part. But I mean, a lot of it felt very emotional, so I mean, it doesn't seem super out of place.
It just felt out of place because I didn't know why she was crying. But I don't know. That was me for through a lot of the movie. I was like, what is happening? What is it? What am I supposed to be feeling right now?
Longing, loss for a life for a life that could have been, like they're divorced too. I think that sort of like thing about like they tried to build a life together and they failed, there's feelings of regret, of inadequacy. I can relate to that for sure.
For sure.
I don't like that she asked, what kind of relationship do you want from your mother? And she sort of describes this thing of like, now that like you're an adult, she basically wants you to like turn back into like a child. There's something very cool about that.
Yeah.
And then we get the part where Natalia is like, should I marry this guy? And he's like, who is he? And we have the whole like, see some writer, is he Dostoevsky? And then find out Ignat isn't doing well in school. And Alexei obviously doesn't think very highly of his son's intellectual
He says,
capacity.
Our little genius started a fire.
Yeah. And then we see that fire outside.
Yeah, cool shot. Like the way it like
just in the courtyard.
Yeah, pans over to the window or whatever.
And Alexei starts describing the same dream that he has. It's in his grandfather's house where he was born, and we see him as like a young boy in the house. And he says this awesome thing about how he realizes he's in a dream, and the overwhelming joy is clouded by anticipation of awakening.
Yeah. At some point too, we get that great line: "A poet is called upon to shock men's souls." You had a slightly different translation we talked about before we started. But yeah, it's some really just awesome lines. And they're talking about Moses and the burning bush showing up, and Natalia says, why don't exciting things ever happen to me? So I guess that kind of fits into these themes of like wanting more from, or like not appreciating what you have and just like wanting something more exciting, more fantastical. Interesting.
Very interesting. Very wild.
Back to black and white. Artsy shots. Chicken busting through a window.
Yeah, I thought it was a crow, perhaps.
Oh, maybe. I thought it was a chicken.
Yeah, but I think it's him as a kid walking up to the house, through the woods to the house. And it feels like there was this sort of big, like, windstorm that happened when he was, like, a child. Like, a big storm, like, and things were, like, sort of, like, destroyed. And, like, we see rain over, like, a bunch of things. And it feels this was a very impactful moment for him as, like, a kid. Like, yeah, he runs up to the house, and the wind calms down as he gets up there. And he tries to open the door, but he can't. Yeah. And then the door opens on its own. And his mom and a dog, and she's got some potatoes over a pot.
Yep, just peeling potatoes.
And then we get this scene in color where it's Alexei, roughly 12 years old again, and Marusha waiting to speak to some lady. And this is where we get the context finally that they were from Moscow but were evacuated during the air raids.
Yep.
And then they leave Alexei by himself while the mom goes to talk to the ladies.
So it's funny because I wrote Maria drops all her stuff again, but it's actually
Marusha, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, yeah, it is. Oh, no, it was Natalia who dropped it the first time with the coins.
Ignat helps her pick it up. Yeah.
So I was like, but this lady keeps dropping things.
She's always in a rush.
Two different ladies, though.
She's always in a rush.
They're both ladies, always dropping things.
They're two different ladies, but they are the same lady in a way because he's like kind of conflating them in his mind, you know? They're like becoming one person to him.
It's a good point.
But yeah, they leave him by himself while the mom talks to the lady. And we have a scene we see just a shot of 2 potatoes and milk dripping down.
Oh, was that milk? Yeah, I was confused.
I figured it was milk.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was like paint coming from the ceiling or something.
She was talking about like milking the cows and shit too. I don't know. And then he looks at himself in a mirror, and I was like, wow, dude, like that's the name of this movie.
Yeah, they hang on this shot for so long of him looking at himself in the mirror, and I was just like, is he mad? Is he like deciding what he's going to do with his life? Like he's just reflecting on himself. Like I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't know what the scene means.
It's poetry, brother.
Guess so.
Don't guess, brother. It's poetry. And then we do get the context that it's the redhead who's holding like the burning branch.
Yeah. And there's a shot of a mirror in the fire.
Yeah, mirror in the fire. And then the lamp is flickering in the room with Alexei, and it goes off.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. Since I thought Liza died in the fire, I thought like, oh, is there something with this lamp going on? But no, I'm just reading way too much into everything, trying to connect dots that aren't there.
Yeah, and then we get these like intense sounds of dripping, and it seems like Marusha has given the lady her earrings. It seems like she might be selling them to try and make some money. And the lady's talking. She wants to show them her son. She's talking about how she always wanted a daughter. And there's some moment where like, so he like wakes up and like she's like talking to him, and then Marusha gets queasy and she like kind of like runs out of the room.
I was very confused by this whole scene, like I was for much of the movie, but they go look at the son who's sleeping, and it's just the cutest kid they got for this scene, so adorable. And there's just like this bitterness that Marusha is showing here, and I was like,
But like the shit that the like mom is saying is also weird. She's like, I always wanted a daughter, and like we even picked out a name for her,
Yeah.
and we did all this stuff, and then this little guy comes along to redo everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like small talk to me, but
It just, yeah, I mean, both things felt strange for sure.
yeah. Well, and then we get this other. So she wants her to. Is it a rooster or a chicken? She wants her to cut the head off of. And then we like it dies off screen, and then it just like shows Marusha like giving this kind of like evil smirk at the camera, and I'm like, what? Why? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. No, it was a really cool shot of like sort of like a lot of darkness over the faces.
Yeah, it was a cool shot. I didn't know what was that.
I guess I didn't quite read it the same. I would have to see it again, but it felt like this sort of like, yeah, I don't know, because they also show the other lady's face, and I do like how they don't actually show like the rooster dying, but then she obviously didn't like seem to enjoy doing it, so I think that's
She tries to talk herself out of doing it.
So that's why I think like well, and then they leave preemptively before they even eat or anything.
Yeah.
So I think in her face I kind of saw, I don't know, perhaps like a resignation. I'm not really sure what's going on with this stuff. Maybe like she's finally struck by like, I'm too proud to like go to these, like to sell my stuff, and you know, like, oh, she wants me to like fix the chicken for her, like her housemaid, like I'm not gonna fucking do that, like I'm too good for this.
Yeah, maybe so. Oh yeah, this next shot is super cool. We're back in black and white, and she's just like
She's floating
in the air. It looks amazing. And
I think it's her husband who's turning away from the camera towards her to like sort of comfort her.
Yeah, at first, like the way it pulls out, it just looked like a man just like petting someone's hands, like not even like.
Yeah, it was like really hard to tell what was going on.
Yeah, and then
it's really cool when it pulls out. Yeah,
you're
you
like,
see that she's
whoa.
like floating there over a bed.
That reminded me of like some like witch vibes. The Witch.
It was very cool, and it seems like she's almost like he's like he is like. Well, there's like words said too, where it feels like there is like this sort of like comfort that is trying to be given. And then we cut to Marusha and Alexei leaving before the husband arrives. And the lady being like, "What are you doing? Come on!" And then we get more of this sort of like poetry from Arseny.
What's that about though? Her floating in the air.
Dude, she found her fucking her will to exert herself, to not be the housemaid, to cut the chicken. She's going to take care of her kid without having to sell her earrings.
Through witchcraft.
I think it is this sort of like, it's this like, I don't know. I think it is this sort of like dreamlike thing, this vulnerability, but this also like almost like etherealness. I think maybe if you look at it from Alexei's like point of view, like mother is like such like a thing, you know, like your mother and the role that she holds within your life, and could kind of see her being on this floating pedestal. But I don't, like I said, I felt very ill-equipped.
Yeah.
Felt very ill-equipped to tackle this. But I like that shot. It's a good shot.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I want more of that. Like I said, when I first saw that, yeah, the house raining and the fire and the hair like dripping, I was like, oh, this movie's gonna have all sorts of crazy stuff. But we really don't get too much more. We get this cool floating shot, but like not much more besides that.
I would disagree. There's a lot of the movement, the camera movements, and the moving through like the apartments and the houses, and the turning of the camera, and suddenly there's like different things.
No, I
like,
mean the cinematography is amazing throughout. I meant
no, but it's like if you think about it, it's not logically tracking. Like that's the thing. Like,
yeah.
A lot of like the placement and the geography is meant to like throw you off, and I would throw that into like these sort of like these other more like obvious on the nose avant-garde things. I also think a lot of the sound mixing is like another sort of like element of that.
Yeah, I just meant more so like
I kind of like how grounded it is for what it, like how many of the scenes are so grounded for what it is. It really does feel like such like a collage of memories.
Yeah. I meant more so just like the like extremely dramatic, visually like stunning, metaphorical, surreal moments.
No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean for sure. I think there's a lot of like elements that are like not as obvious that definitely work with it, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah. There's another poem. Is this the final poem while they're walking along the marsh here?
Yeah, and it continues over black and white plants blowing in the wind. We see that table in the bushes that we keep seeing where things were sort of like knocked over. Keeps sort of like signaling, I think, the like big storm that happened, or what I'm calling the big storm that happened.
Right.
And then the wind like dies down and the camera moves towards like, well, it moves through the house, which again, all those shots are so fucking sick. And then there's the boy holding, which I think is Alexei. He's holding a large thing of milk in front of him.
Big jar of milk. The biggest jar you've ever seen. Yeah.
And then you hear the barking, and then you hear a train whistle, and the room lights up slightly, and then boom, it cuts to him like swimming in some water.
Yeah.
And this part is in color.
Yeah.
We still hear the barking.
Yeah.
And then he pulls up on Marusha, seemingly doing like some laundry.
Yeah. Is this where you got the little puppy on the table? You remember that? There's a little puppy in the kitchen. It's just like sitting on the counter. It's very cute.
I think in the next shot, I'm not sure if it's a dog or it's a cat, but there is like an animal on the mantle. And then like as you're moving through it, then you see like the eggs on the windowsill, and you see out through the window that it's like a boy walking out to a woman, and who I think is his younger sister, Marina. And the woman is old though, so it is like I think Marusha as an old woman with her 2 young children.
Very trippy. Yeah, she's smoking. She left the oven on. Maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was just like the furnace, but yeah, he comes out to tell her like that the fire is still on inside or whatever.
Yeah, and then we get the doctor scene. He's explaining how common sudden death is, which I thought was really funny.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that he talks about is like when someone because I can't remember the example he gives, but you hear about like a husband or a wife dying, and then the other one like in their old age, and the other one dies like soon after because they don't really have anything to like keep them going.
Yeah,
and it seems like that's what he's pointing at, but that's not really the example he gives. It's like something different.
I can't remember either.
And then they're like, okay, but like his mom's not dead, and I think she's literally sitting right next to him, and they're like. Then they mention like guilt and like the like weight of his conscience.
Yeah, he has a guilty conscience, and this was the scene that I said spoke the most to me. But now I realized that it doesn't even work with what I was thinking. But it's the same type of idea. I just thought it'd be more powerful if he was the one who killed the bird for me. But whatever.
Yeah, I think also the part earlier where he grabs the bird is kind of striking because they don't show the bird like die. He just like grabs it, and as soon as he grabs it, like cuts.
Yeah, I think you kind of see his hand turn up, and it's just like laying in his hand. So I assumed he crushed it, but yeah. And then I think that he says everything will be fine as he like releases the bird, and I was like, art.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene worked for me. I liked it.
And then we see the countryside, and I like this scene a lot too. It's Marusha and the father laying in the grass.
Oh yeah.
And he asks her, "Would you rather have a girl or a boy?"
And she starts
crying.
And
we hear no answer, but she just like looks away. And it reminded me a little bit of the "Do you want to make a baby?" scene.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And then we see the 2 children and the mother, but she's old and they're standing in the plants.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this final shot just so cool.
Well, there's a couple because there's that, and then there's the 2 like what I just said, and then again more of the remains of this big storm. Then the mother leading the children away, and then we go back to Marusha, and she's not saying anything. She's just fucking feeling shit.
Yeah.
You just see that she's just processing.
She's crying.
So many emotions.
And smiling. That's life, baby.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to them walking out into the field, and there's like the whistling, and someone calling out. And that's the end.
Yeah, and just the shot of pulling from the light into the dark woods. I was like, this can't be the end, right? I still have no idea what the fuck's going on. It can't end here. And then I just wrote when it cut to black, just like the end.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That was his life, dude.
Yeah, I get it now. It all makes sense. It's all connected.
Yeah.
That's Mirror.
That's his life, dude. That was his life, man. Thank you, Tarkovsky.
Yeah, what would you rate his life on a scale of F to S?
I'm not. I already decided I'm not gonna give this a tier ranking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
Bold. I'm very tempted to raise it just because like I know it has so much artistic merit. I know I would get more out of it if I was more familiar with this type of movie or if I watched it a couple times and like really dug into it. I know like this is important movie for a reason. But I didn't enjoy it if I'm being honest. I mean, there's like we said, there's a lot of things I liked about it, but so much of it I was just like bored and confused and frustrated. And not feeling a lot, but like some of the aspects you talked about, like of him trying to get you into nostalgia and like that stuff did work for me. It just like wasn't quite enough to like, I don't know, make the movie work for me. So for that reason, I am giving it a D tier. But that feels wrong. Yeah, I mean, trippy fucking movie. I want to do some more artsy movies in the future. Maybe expand my horizons on this type of film style, you know?
Yeah, I think like the performances in it throughout were really fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the dialogue's amazing. Like everything, there's so much about it that works. It's just because I was so detached from these characters, because I was even confused who these characters were or what was happening. Like I wasn't emotionally invested in it. Which I think is just like a different style of filmmaking, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, no tier ranking here. I don't feel equipped enough to give it a tier ranking.
I mean, you could give a tier ranking just on, you know, initial like I said, like I feel like my ranking could go up on repeat viewings, you know.
For sure. I know I can. I don't want to, and I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
No matter how much you try to bully me into doing such, I will not.
Please bully Alfredo in the comments, everyone.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah, fucking Mirror. Any final thoughts?
We all need mirrors to remind ourselves who we are.
That's right. Very wise quote.
Yeah, what a wild experience. Perhaps we'll talk about it again some other time. Who knows? But that was the Mirror. Well, Mirror, just Mirror. As my friend Christian said to me when I was talking about it, he was like, drop the, it's cleaner, which I thought was pretty funny. Anyway, Mirror. Take a peek, see what you think yourself. But to continue movies out of order, well, drop the movies. Out of order is cleaner. To continue a month out of order, next week we are watching a film that will be, I think, this is probably the boldest thing ever said. This is probably the only time anybody's ever said this about this film. This movie will be less confusing than the movie we watched today.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, so we're watching Mulholland Drive next week.
Mulholland Drive.
And I saw it
directed by David Lynch.
I saw it once, like in the very early days of Netflix. I got it like ordered on DVD or whatever, and I remember being very cool, but just like also very confusing. And yeah, when I finished this movie, I was like, oh, well, at least Mulholland Drive can't be as confusing as this one.
Yeah, I remember. I think there's a lot of like some heavy Persona vibes in it. And when I say that, I don't mean the video game, you fucking nerd. I mean the fucking Bergman film. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to check it out again. I watched it once a little while ago, but yeah, you know, we can touch on all that next time. You know,
hell yeah.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed listening to us scratch our heads for however long this episode was. I think it's probably gonna end up being a shorter one than usual. But yeah, scratch your head along with us. Like, comment, subscribe, call your mother, tell her you resent her, and, you know, take care of yourself. Don't, you know, do the things you want to do now. You know, don't put them off and lay in bed and reflect on them as you die and release a bird into the wild.
Yeah, you could release birds too, but maybe
not with all the...
Not while you're dying. Release birds while you're living.
Whatever, fuck this. Have a good night, everybody.
And we'll see you in the forecast.
Cast. Spasiba.